Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Magic in the Mundanes Under the Influence. Oh my goodness. Hi. Hi. My name is Alyssa Trube, and I will be guiding you through this episode, through this conversation. But really, actually, I will be guiding using my voice and some visual human design information and astrological information. But I would actually ask you to plop yourself in the driver's seat. Plop yourself in the seat of your own authority as you listen to this monologue. And the reason I say this is because if you are sitting in the seat of your own authority, then you are cued into your body's sensations. And it's really important that you are, because that's how I want your participation. I want you to be sat back in your body, breathed into, noticing what sensations arise as I tell these stories that are purely, obviously, for the sake of entertainment. Entertainment only. After all, isn't that why we're here? So, as I dare to record this podcast today for the sixth time, and in general, this week for the third. Yes, I have recorded this podcast two other times this week, two other times fully. And it's getting increasingly clear around what needs to be brought through here. So I want to start by sharing my experience last weekend on the 4th of July. I don't love this holiday. It challenges me. I grew up with this amazing 4th of July situation where all of the people in my neighborhood would gather. My mother's family would gather, my father's family would gather, and we would, we'd go caw hogging. I grew up in Rhode Island on the coast. The week before, and we'd get all these caw hogs and these little necks, and we'd bring them home and we'd steam them up and we'd make lobsters. It's like the one time a year we'd eat lobster, and we'd have all of our family and all of our friends together, and we'd have this huge cookout, and we'd play these competitive games of volleyball, and it was fucking amazing. It was amazing. And then we go watch fireworks. And it was amazing. We'd ride our bikes to the fireworks and it was fun. It was really fucking fun. But as I've gotten older and as I've gotten more aware of my colonizer ancestry, and as I've gotten more aware of what this country was built on, people who were, in my view, oppressed, leaving the place that they were being oppressed and coming here and oppressing others violently. The 4th of July just doesn't make sense to me anymore. So, anyways, some friends were throwing a really cool party, an event, and I chose to go to it. And they decentered independence and said, okay, this is interdependence. And there was all of this workshopping beforehand. And I got there for the set, for the dance part, because that's what we do. I arrived at the very end of the workshopping, and it was really powerful, the stuff that was going on here. But I got there to dance. And I knew that if I went to the part before, I wasn't going to have the energy to dance because this was going to be, a real dance floor for 3, 4 hours. And so I show up to dance and I dance and it was amazing. And I danced with people who had been at this event all day. And I felt myself in the field of the energy that they had cultivated around really asking these questions of why are we still perpetuating systems that separate us? Violent systems that perpetuate the illusion of separation. Can we not see the interdependence that's happening here? And can we also not see how important it is? So, anyways, this is a podcast about the new moon. This is a podcast about Pluto and the things that for the rest of this month, Pluto's going to be cooking up because Pluto's cooking up some transformation on an individual level and also a collective level. But the essence of this episode began the fifth time I walked into the bathroom at Junkyard Social Club in Boulder. I was bleeding, and so I spent a little bit more time in the bathroom than I normally do on any other dance floor. And this fifth time I was in the bathroom, I was sitting there on the toilet. It was the end of the night. I was, deep in my body, deep in trance mode. And I was sitting there in the bathroom under these two bright lights. The dance floor is dark and kind of zoning out, peeing and, doing the like kind of thing to make sure that I can get myself to pee. And why don't you take one of those with me right now? And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around the bathroom and I'm taking in the imagery that is hanging on the walls of the bathroom. Two men sitting under a kind of lean-to metal hut, one of them wearing a tarp, sitting in a seat, the other one cutting his hair. Another image of this one starting to catch my attention of this whole crowd of people. At the front of the crowd, this line of children wearing what looks like this kind of like traditional Himalayan clothing or garb. And these children sitting there, their cheeks red, also just no emotion on their face, and then packed in, surrounded by all these adults behind them. And then in front of this crowd of people, military police standing there with their shields, their guns, their uniforms, like, blockading these people who don't actually look like they're trying to go anywhere. They're just almost trapped looking, sitting there like they're being herded on the ground. And I'm like, oh man, not thinking too much about it. And then I turn to my right. And as I turn to my right, there's another image, and this one really strikes me. It's muted colors. It's muted colors. It's gray and white and this kind of like metal muted feeling. All of these people, China, their faces totally devoid of any flushed cheeks, any aliveness, any joy, any emotion at all, actually. And they look like they're enduring. Some of them are sitting on this train car, just, looking out the window like there's no one home. And other ones are getting off the train and, like, again, this feeling of they're just enduring. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, China, Burma, Venezuela. Now, full transparency here, I suck at history. Like, I could not even tell you. I can't even tell you. I, I just can't. It's not something that has ever caught my hyper focus or my hyper attention. And I have just learned to trust that. But I'm looking at these photos and I'm like, weird. This is feeling weird. And I get up, I like flush the toilet, I walk out of the bathroom and I close the door and I go back to dancing. And as I close my eyes and I start listening to the music and I start moving my body, I am overcome with an awareness that is an acoustic awareness. Now, any one of my clever phrases that you've ever heard me say that lands, knowledge is power, embodiment is God. Less narration, more sensation. The cringe is hot, okay? Yin before yang, like all of these things. These are all acoustic awarenesses. They're things that I have heard. They're not my voice, they're a voice, and they land in a way with this clarity. It's like hearing the truth in the now. And I've learned how to tune into these using human design. I have a lot of individual circuitry, and anyone who has individual circuitry has quite a bit of it. There's a knowing versus a logic or a sensing. There's a knowing, and that knowing drops in through the acoustic field. It's heard, and it's heard in the now. So it's heard when we're doing things on autopilot, things like hiking or riding our bike or doing yoga or dancing. So I walk back to the floor and I start dancing. And within seconds, this acoustic awareness hits me that's like, they want to enslave us all. They want to enslave us all. Now, as arrogant as it is, I know nothing about what's happening in China or Burma or Venezuela. I know nothing. I tend to feel very overwhelmed by anything that is not hyper local to me by wrapping my attention on it because I start feeling it. But they want to enslave us all started ricocheting through my whole body. And I could not help but feel rage. I could not help but feel protective. I could not help but feel like the intelligence of the music that was being played by Alondra Kingman had handed me this acoustic awareness in addition to the morphogenetic field of the holiday and the images that just happened to be hanging on the bathroom that my awareness just happened to be paying enough attention to that this awareness dawned. They want to enslave us all. It makes me really uncomfortable to say it. I totally forgot about these acoustic awarenesses and I went and I recorded a really fucking awesome episode of the podcast on Monday. And after I was like, this isn't it. Like something feels off. I don't know what this is. This never happens to me. Usually it's like one and done. I've spent time prepping and writing and reflecting and dancing it through my body and it lands and it lands and it lands. And then I come and record it and that's it. It's done. But I was like, nope, it's not it. So I was like, okay, I trust this. It doesn't usually happen, but I trust it. Wednesday morning, I'm dancing. And this set that's new that I'd never heard before comes into my headphones and it's by Mex and I'm listening to it and this audio comes in that I've heard before. This audio is fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. Now this is the third time I've heard this in a set. And it stands out because I'm like, I have like I keep saying, I have an authority thing. Like I have a power struggle thing. I have Pluto in my 10th house in Scorpio, like really tightly opposing my Mars in my 4th house in Taurus. Like, tell me you have an authority thing without telling me you have a power struggle and authority thing. It's like, this is why I teach inner authority. So, anyways, the awareness always lands for me. The acoustic awareness in the song, "Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me," always lands for me. And the first time I heard it, a friend had shared a set from these artists called "This Is My Trip." Bless you. Thank you for sharing that. It really landed for me because the whole opening of the set was about authority. The whole opening of a set told the story of a citizen sitting on a bench feeding pigeons. And it told the story of how the citizen sitting on the bench feeding pigeons out of its hand becomes the authority, and the pigeons become the subordinate. Why? Because the authority says, I will give you your food. You won't have to hunt for it. You won't have to look for it. Just come eat out of the palm of my hand. Come eat out of the palm of my hand. It's easy. You'll stay comfortable. It's reliable. And then you'll have to do what I tell you because now I control your food supply. Now I control your resources. And you've become comfortable with that. And so now you're willing to rely on me. It was a provoking opening to the set. I'll link it below. And that's how it starts. Talking about these birds eating out of the hand of the citizen. Talking about the subordinates eating out of the hand of the authority. And then it goes into that same acoustic awareness. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. After telling this story about domination and submission. And the first time I heard this, it got me going good because I was like, yeah, fuck you, yeah, fuck you. And this is a feeling. This isn't like a mental concept for me. I have a really strong, even talking about it right now, I have like a knotted solar plexus. Talking about authority and how we've been so conditioned to externalize our authority. The preacher knows, the pope knows, the pastor knows, the teacher knows, the doctor knows, the lawyer knows, your parents know, you're like, the salesman, the car salesman knows, like everybody knows. So everybody knows but you. So go ask someone and then listen to what they tell you. The government knows. The politicians, yeah, they know, right? The celebrities, they know. So, anyways, I'm listening to this set on Wednesday morning. And as soon as I hear that acoustic awareness, and by the way, as I hear this acoustic awareness, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. I literally get thrown back to the dance floor and I hear they want to enslave us all again. And I'm like, fuck, that's what the podcast episode's about. That's what the podcast episode's about. Pluto, the planet of creation destruction, is in Aquarius. Pluto represents our soul. Pluto's in Aquarius. Our souls right now are being asked. Aquarius is in its highest state. It's about, the individuation process of the individual that then comes back into the collective to have a healthy collective. At its peak, Aquarius is innovation. Aquarius is objectivity. It's detachment from things that get in our way. It brings new ideas, and it is able to bring those new ideas because it's individuated. And then it brings those new ideas to the group and it says, hey, I know, I understand that my individuation isn't the highest point here. I actualize not just for myself, but because I am part of a collective body. That's the beauty, that's the intelligence of Aquarius. The shadow state, though, of Aquarius is about getting fragmented. It's about going, oh, I individuate for me. And I push back and I isolate and I do everything myself and it's all solo. And that makes me weak. And when I'm weak, I can be oppressed. When the collective is weak, we are easy to control. We are easy to oppress. Pluto, the planet of life, death cycles, creation, destruction cycles, the planet of, to quote astrologer Timothy Halloran, transformation, and transformation is hell, right? Pluto is associated with the underworld god. Pluto is moving through the sign that represents the collective body and how we either become oppressed or we innovate. So there's a lot of, and we're at the beginning of this, right? This is a 20-year transit. So you got Pluto sitting there, transiting through Aquarius, and I'm out on the deck and I'm dancing. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. And I'm like, I've been fixated on this Pluto Jupiter opposition that's happening right now. Let me show you. And all of a sudden it clicks in. I'm like, holy shit, this is it. This is it. Pluto is transiting through the sign that is correlated with the collective, with humanity. And it is opposing Jupiter. Jupiter just entered into, you can see right here, we have Pluto in Aquarius. Jupiter just entered into Leo on June 29th. And Jupiter is like, it's like this, the higher sense, right? It's like the higher intelligence. It's associated with luck. It can be good luck, it can be bad luck. It's associated with expansion. And so wherever Jupiter's transiting through, it's like putting a magnifying glass on that sign. And so right now we have a magnifying glass on Leo. Now I just want to land us here in Leo archetype. My perception is that pop culture makes Leo about like, it just like it does with all archetypes, it takes the substance out of Leo. It says focus on the surface. The surface is not where our attention should rest. We know this. It's not. And so if we take the attention off the surface and we really look at the archetype of Leo, the sun is like the authority, capital T, capital A. It's the authority. If we look at Leo, we look at right away the lion, right? You ever seen a domesticated lion? You see those often? You see a lion eat out of someone's fucking hand? No, you don't. And the ones who are domesticated don't look very happy and they don't look like they're willingly participating, do they? So, Leo, in my view, and based on, I love Jeffrey Wolf Green's work. I love his Pluto books 1 and 2. I love them so much. They are what I use when I at any time prep astrology, I always back check using his work. And the way that he conveys Leo to me is about inner authority. It's about creative actualization. It's about the actualization or the creative self-actualization of the individual. AKA Jupiter in Leo this next year is about, can you please learn how to be your own authority? You must. And this opposition, Pluto on one side over here, 4 degrees of Aquarius. This is, by the way, the moment of the new moon, but this transit, Pluto in Aquarius and Jupiter expansion in Leo, creation destruction cycle of Pluto through the collective, as we put the magnifying glass on the question of, are you your own authority? And if not, are you willing to learn how to be? Because if you aren't, then our collective is going to continue to be weak, be divided, be easily oppressible, and then have to consent to authority. We'll be eating out of the hands of people who do not care about our wellness, do not care about collective wellness, have never cared about collective wellness. People of color have been saying this, and Indigenous people forever. We're just catching on, right? But I think we need to be looking at it and looking at how each of us as individuals are players in the collective game. We make up the body that is the whole. And when we externalize authority and say, oh, I look to the politician, I look to my doctor, I look to the teacher, the education system, the institutions which are collapsing as they have been predicted to based on the 2027 solar plexus mutation, where we will move out of institutional and tribal circuitry and into individual circuitry, like individual circuitry that centers the individual, but that centers the individual within groups. So anyways, I'm out on the deck and I hear this and I look around, and ironically, I had just put a bunch of flax seeds. I just put a bunch of them like all around the perimeter of my deck because the birds fucking love seeds, obviously. And I was feeding them. I was feeding the birds. I have been for weeks now, just like I feed the hummingbirds. I do. I love them. They're amazing. They're incredible little saccharine savages. And I'm dancing and I'm like, holy shit. The whole awareness just comes to me. Me and a friend who is a Cancer, we have this joke. We're like, we're going to feed you. Well, Cancers are always going to feed you. You know why we're going to feed you? When we want you to feel good. We want you to not be hangry, because for us, our bodies read vibes, and like we want the vibes to be, like landed. You can't be hangry and landed. Like you can't spiritually bypass your fucking human basic needs. You gotta eat. You gotta eat good food. So we're gonna feed you, but don't get it twisted. We also have a shadow side. We're gonna feed you because dependency. You come eat out of my palm. You come say, oh, Liz, your food is so good. I know you always have snacks and I know you always have water. Well, guess what? That creates dependency. And it's a little dark, but it's kind of real, It's like, think about our relationship to our mothers. We depend on our mothers when we're young because we can't get food ourselves. We can't even ask for anything. So we depend on them. I know it's a little dark, but I need you to just hang with me here because this is what's happening. And this is what we're consenting to all the time. Pluto opposing Jupiter is going to, and I'm going to be talking about how you can apply this to your own chart in the community. The community is open. It is called the Practicum. And I'm going to be teaching you. I'm going to go through each of the houses so you can see where this is happening for you, each of the astrological houses. But Pluto is transiting through Aquarius. And so you're going to find where that lives in your chart. And you're going to go, whoa, I'm experiencing creation destruction cycles here. Those creation destruction cycles are asking me to meet the destruction in a new way. Rather than creating from a place of externalizing authority, I can create from saying, I am my own authority. I make my own decisions for myself. When we start creating from that place, we will start creating empowered systems. We can't just cross our fingers and hope that we can create these new systems outside of ourselves that are empowered when we're not even empowered inside of our own system. inside of our own bodies, inside of our own minds. As above, so below. As within, so too outside of us. If we think for 1 minute that we can create a new world without letting things burn down and then get built back up in our own self, we are tripping out. We're fucking tripping. If we want to create a new world, it starts inside of us. And that is a rigorous process and it should be taken seriously. It's also play, but it should be taken serious. The birds, the hummingbirds are fucking coming to the feeder, and the barn swallows and the woodpeckers are taking all the flax seeds off the deck. And I'm like, this is holographic right now. This is wild. The birds are eating out of the palm of my hand and they just keep coming back because I keep feeding them. And I, as a citizen, am eating out of the palm of the hand of the government and the lobbyists and the Amazon and the Whole Foods and the the big players who go, oh yeah, here, we'll create this gorgeous, comfortable grocery store for you. And then we'll use it to fund ICE. And by the way, it's your money that's funding ICE. And by the way, we're going to start surveilling you. And by the way, you're going to consent to it all the time. You're going to carry around a tracker and you're going to give us your face. And then we're going to watch you and we're going to collect data about you. And all the while, it's going to be so easy because you're comfortable and you're eating out of the palm of our hand. I'm not asking you to reclaim your own sense of inner authority to support my business. I'm glad it does, but I didn't know this is where we were going. I didn't. I just followed the acoustic awarenesses I had. I followed my inner authority and I made decisions from there. The way it's coming together is so clear that it scares me a bit because I'm asking you to reclaim your inner authority, whether you do it with my guidance, using human design and erotic integration, or you find someone else's guidance to do it under, or you don't use anyone's guidance and you be your own authority and you do it. Human design just happens to be a very effective way to teach ourselves how to use our body technology to make a decision. But there are lots of other ways to do this. Human design just is a really good way to do it. It's effective because when you hand decision making over to your body, let's say you have a sacral response and your sacral response goes, no, ugh, don't have energy available for that, which is what a sacral response is cueing you into. Do you have energy available? Oh, you do? Yum. Yes, lean forward, open up, excitement, buzz, the purring, powerful motor of the sacral life force is moving through. You get aroused. You feel the sensation of that. That informs your sense of inner authority. You go, yeah, I have energy available. But let's just say your sacral goes, nah, I don't have energy available. Flat, contract, ugh, move back. No life force flowing. And let's just say your body response to something is so clear. It's that clear. You in a moment, recognize the sensation. And then your conditioned mind starts going, well, you really should do that because if you don't do that, then what are your neighbors going to think? And what are your parents going to think? And what's going to happen here? And what if you lose your job? And I can't believe it. And I da 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 and you're bad and you're not enough and you should feel guilty and be afraid. And then you start going, oh, those are my conditioned constructs, but my body's saying something entirely different. And then, yeah, you get to do the deconditioning dance. You get to grapple with like, yo, my body is saying something different than the constructs that have been embedded in my mind by the language that I've been taught to think in that tells me there's a right way to do things. And so then I white knuckle to that right way, trying so hard to do the right thing, even though my body's going, please don't do that. Please don't do that. No, 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 no. Why do you think we're anxious? Why do you think we're depressed? Why do you think we're disconnected? Why do you think we don't trust ourselves? Why do you think we externalize authority? Why do you think we are willing to trade a quick hit? Why do you think we're willing to trade meaningful connection, delicious food, time, staring at the stars, sitting by the river, writing poetry, singing songs, banging on drums, strumming guitars? Why do you think we're willing to fucking trade that for a quick hit? So the whole thing here is we have to learn how to reclaim our own sense of authority. What I'm asking you to do it for is to support the collective. And it's not just me asking, it's the cosmic above going, hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. It's time. It's time right now to start this process if you haven't already. And I'm not talking about like half-assing, oh, I'm a projector type, I'm a generator type, no one cares. Bring it into your body and live it, please. let it get interesting. Let it get interesting. It's going to be scary. It's going to be weird. It's going to be amazing. And this is what the cosmos are asking us right now. Pluto is opposing Jupiter from July. Let me look at my notes. I mean, right now it's happening. It's been happening for the last handful of days, but it like goes exact on July 20th. And then it will be within 5 degrees of that opposition, I think, until August. What did I write down? I think August 8th. This isn't the only thing happening. So find where Leo is in your chart. And based on the house, you're going to see where you're getting called into being your own authority. First house, sense of self. Second house, values. Third house, communication and thought. Fourth house, emotional body, ancestry. Home. Fifth house, your self-expression, your creative actualization, your eros. Sixth house, your mundane routine, rhythm, apprenticeship, your work. Seventh house, your relationships, your one-on-one partnerships, your relationship with other people, with your work, with your body. How do I relate to the other? This is the house of the mirror. The eighth house, merging. Sex, death, and transformation, power exchange. The ninth house, your embodied philosophy, travel, how you learn. The 10th house, your career, your profession, the way that you are seen out in the world. Your 11th house, your network, your community, your clan. Your 12th house, the liminal space, where you go to be alone again, to get into solitude, to feel what's behind the surface so that you can be reborn again into the first house. I am, I value, I think, I feel, I express, I serve, I relate, I merge, I embody, I profess, I connect, I get alone again. Those are the houses. And if you look at your astrology, we'll do it in the community, not at rapid speed. You'll see where you're being asked to step into your own authority, Jupiter and Leo, in order to support not just your individuation process, but it is supporting your individuation process, but also to support the collective. Pluto transiting Aquarius for the next 20 years. We're at the beginning of this, y'all. We are at the beginning of this. Now, on July 17th, which just happens to be my birthday, happy birthday to you, Uranus is also trining Pluto. And you can see that here again. Look, Uranus in Gemini, trining, air sign, trine, is a flowing. There's less tension than an opposition. And by the way, let's go back to that opposition for a second. Jupiter opposing Pluto. Anything that is in opposition is going to get turned outward. So all of a sudden, the individual function of I am my own authority gets turned outward to be a social function. So like, yo, I'm not kidding. The cosmos are going, be your own authority and then bring it into community. Be your own authority, bring it into relationships. Be your own authority, bring it into your work. Because when we do that, we start taking the power back. We start saying, hey, listen, I'm powerful. You're powerful. We're powerful. Wow, we are powerful. Power is the ability to cause and effect. Saturn's sitting in a gate that's all about power. Saturn up here, and it's about power. It's about authorship. What is being your own authority? It's being your own author. It's squaring this new moon, and this new moon's conjunct Mercury retrograde, and this new moon in Cancer is in a gate that says, hey, do you know that you're conditioned by language? As Terence McKenna says, thought cannot go where the roads of language have not paved. Thought cannot go where the roads of language have not been paved. Or in other words, thought can only go where the roads of language have paved. The reason I'm bringing this up is because if we're looking at this new moon, there's a new moon conjunct Mercury retrograde in this gate that is a throat center gate that's all about language. And what I love about this gate is that when Richard Rudd is writing about it, this gate of preponderance in the small, Richard Rudd says, it is not language, it is not we who abuse language, but language who abuses us. The first time I heard this, I was like, that feels really blamey. But the more I've sat with this gate, which is my life's work, so I've sat with it quite a bit, the more I realize, oh, what he means is, and he says this, what he means is we are conditioned to think in language. And we're conditioned, oh, that's good, that's bad, that's right, that's wrong. We're conditioned through this dual system that is like, well, either you got it or you don't. And there's only one right way. So hopefully you got it. And then we start identifying with the language that we think in. We start identifying with our thoughts. And then we start making decisions from our thoughts. This is why in human design, we call it the not self mind, right? The not self is the conditioned self. And this gate 62 is all about how we need to stop identifying with our thoughts. And we need to be really precise about embodying the knowledge that we know so that the knowledge that we know becomes part of a holistic system compared to a fragmented, disembodied, information overload AI like knowledge. Where it's like, yeah, it's all at our fingertips, but I have no idea what to do with it because I've never brought it in my body. So I don't actually know what it feels like. I just know it. Knowledge is power, embodiment is God. Knowledge is power. Power is the ability to cause an effect. But God, as Richard Rudd talks about in the Gate 62, is embodiment. In fact, he even says, he's talking about logic and how logic will always disprove itself. You should read this book, by the way, The Fifth Sacred Thing. You should read this book. I thought I was picking up the Gene Keys, but you should read this book because this book probably helped inform that acoustic awareness I had on the dance floor. Same with Against the Machine. Richard Rudd in the 62 talks about how the fact that science is on the cusp of undermining the very foundation of intellect speaks volumes about the extraordinary times through which we are currently living. However, the intellect is not designed to give itself up. It will fight on, disproving any theory that takes it out of its own factual territory. Only when humanity raises its frequency into the heart will it be able to use intellect to resolve this great paradox. Put another way, the only way you can scientifically prove that God exists is to become God. Knowledge must then become knowing, and intellect must surrender to intelligence. As a man of true understanding once said, the last shall become first, and the first shall become last. What this really means is that the heart shall lead the mind rather than the other way around. This is the Gate 62. This is where we have the new moon. The heart shall lead the mind, aka the body decision makes. The body decision makes. The heart is connected to the rest of the body. I mean, the brain is too, but we're not decision making from the brain. We're decision making from the conditioned mind. The brain's not bad, the mind's not bad, but we don't decision make from the mind. We allow the mind to be what it is. Pattern recognizing, analytical, awareness. So this new moon is asking us into that. And you can go see, okay, where does Cancer live in my zodiacal chart, in the zodiacal wheel, in my natal chart? And then you can get really clear on like, this is where I'm being asked to put some attention around the way that I think and the loops that I think myself into. And, you know, the reason I say loops is because it's Mercury retrograde, which means you need to reflect somewhere. You need to do some reflections somewhere. Wherever Cancer lives in your zodiacal wheel will be where you probably can catch some not self-mind patterns happening. Back to Pluto trine Uranus. Uranus is freedom from the known, using Jeffrey Wolf Green's language. Uranus is the shock. It's electricity. It's the shock that agitates you into, or that awakens you into something new, a new awareness. Pluto trining Uranus on July 17th, 3 days after that new moon, 5 days after Mercury cazimi the sun, right? Mercury cazimi. So cazimi is when a planet comes into the heart of the sun, meaning Mercury conjuncts the sun, and there's a moment of clarity. And then 2 days later, there's a new moon. And so you plant the seed of clarity that you had or that you're having. And it might happen on July 12th. It might happen around this time. We don't have to fixate to a point. Everything's flowing and ebbing and ebbing and flowing. And then July 17th, after that moment of clarity and that like, oh, got it. Okay, yeah. And I'm going to plant that new seed of intentional awareness in and around whatever house Cancer rules in my chart. I already went through the houses. You can also hear about them in the community. Then what will happen is Uranus will trine Pluto, and there will be this feeling of clarity where you're like, oh, I know what I need to do here. And it's not going to be, oh, I know what I need to do here. I've done this a million times before. It's, I know what I need to do here that's new. That's Uranus. Uranus is like, unshackle yourself, please. And oftentimes it's in a way that's a little bit shocking. So don't be surprised if it's a little bit shocking, but that's what's going to happen. What's stuck starts to shift, but without forcing. And this will happen again through 2027. This Pluto trine Uranus will happen a couple times. What Jeffrey Wolf Green says is he says there's the elimination of intellectual, physical, spiritual, and emotional attachments. That's what a Pluto trine Uranus does. And because this is into air signs, this might be a shift in communication. We know telepathy is on the rise. We know that awareness doesn't just live in physical form. We share awareness through dance floors. We share awareness through, when you're listening to this and you're hearing me breathe, or you're hearing certain tone in my voice or cadence. There's so many things. We share awareness when we swim in the same lakes. We share awareness, all the time we pass by people, we make eye contact. This is why it's important not to fear each other and to not to keep dividing because we share awareness. And our awareness is only going to increase and increase and increase and increase with this 2027 solar plexus mutation. So allow your awareness to mutate through the next month. Notice where there's attachment to things that don't need to be there that are from the conditioned mind. Uranus correlates to what Jung called the process of individuation. And so when it's trining Pluto, it's saying, hey, we're moving your soul. Your soul is getting moved into deeper and deeper individuation. And again, to come back to the point of this whole conversation, this whole episode, individuation is not the end point. It's a nexus point back into the collective. And if we want to avoid being highly surveillance and enslaved, if we want to say, no, I do not consent to social credit and surveillance states, then we as individuals have to reclaim our sense of inner authority. And then we have to bring it into the collective. Based on my limited knowledge and based on my limited research that I did this morning after I woke up feeling this awareness bloom again, being like, oh, so get the fuck up and record this podcast, is Burma, also called Myanmar, is a highly tech surveilled face imaging SIM card phone check. Like if you go to a check, if you have to go through a check, and this is what I learned this morning, someone check me on this if this is wrong. I'm not saying this to create fear. I'm saying this to say, like, listen, there's something happening here and we create the thing that's happening. So can we please be our own inner authorities and create the thing that's happening so it doesn't become something where we're all enslaved, which it's already trending that way intensely. And again, people of color and indigenous people have been trying to tell us this for a long time. In Burma, which is where one of those photos is from, if you go through a checkpoint, they get to open your phone. They get to look at everything in your phone. And if you're posting or sharing anything that's against the regime, you can be imprisoned for it. Someone fact checked me, but this is what I learned this morning when I was doing some fact checking. China, also highly surveilled, right? We've got all this biometric processing. When I went to Mexico in December, I was like, holy shit, this is really crazy. And then I came back and I was like, holy shit, this is really crazy. They're doing it here too. It's pictures. It's scan your passport. It's here's a little tag. Please make sure you let us know when you leave the country. We're looking at you. We're watching your face. We just got your biometrics. We got your fingerprint. Like, we got you. We're watching you. And in a very different way, I've had this happen to me on Instagram. I've been convicted of human exploitation on Instagram for sharing shibari photos. And it's different, but it's very similar. I couldn't get myself out of it. They were like, tisk, tisk, you're going to be in Instagram prison. You're not going to be able to do this, that, and the other thing. I get that they might be doing a liability thing where they cover their own ass, but I don't believe it. I just don't. When we're going against the culture, we put ourselves at risk. And when we're going against the culture and we're being surveilled and having biometric checks, suddenly it becomes like, hey, you're a risk. You're a terrorist. You went to a protest, you're a terrorist, and we have your photo, and we have your biometrics, and we're going to imprison you. We're going to put you in a labor camp. Please read The Fifth Sacred Thing. The first couple chapters are a little slow because you think it's going somewhere it's not going. It's going to go somewhere really interesting. Please read it. It's by Starhawk. Please fucking read this book. Right now, the cosmos are personally asking you to stop, to get out of fantasy. They're like, get out of fantasy and get into your authority. What I'm saying here is using the language of the gene keys. Pluto's transiting through the gate 41, and the shadow of the gate 41 is fantasy. If we continue to narrate sensation at the rate that we are narrating sensation, which is like, hey, we're living in increasing amounts of comfort. And also we're numbing because we're working all the time. And also we're numbing because we have these external authorities telling us we have to get vaccines and that we have to do this and that we have to do that and that we have COVID and it's scary to be out in the world. It's so scary. What is the allegory of the cave? What is the allegory of the cave? It's really scary out there. Don't leave. Don't go out there. Don't get yourself on dance floors. Don't go sweat with other humans. Don't even look them in the eye. It's scary out there. Well, when we start getting that scared, we stop being in our bodies and we stop being in our bodies. And then a sensation happens in our bodies, which they do because that's what bodies do. They communicate with us using sensation. And we can't be in it because we're like, ooh, sensation's too much for me. We start narrating that fantasy. We start narrating that sensation into fantasy. And that is the shadow state of the exact archetype that Pluto is sitting in right now. Now, that archetype sits across from an archetype that says, please, Leo, this is where Jupiter is sitting, that opposition I just showed you, please be your own leader. That comfort makes us really bad at being in our bodies because we're comfortable all the time. And what's really interesting about this gate is Richard Rudd talks about it through this lens of like, hey, if you actually were in your humility, you wouldn't care if people thought you were arrogant. That's the whole thing about our conditioning. Our conditioning makes us fear what other people think about us because we are social creatures, and it's very scary when we think about being cast out or we think about being perceived as arrogant. I don't want to be perceived as arrogant. Oh my God, did you hear Alyssa's podcast? She said that they're trying to enslave us all. Ooh, she's so arrogant. That is my worst fear. But it's not actually my worst fear. My worst fear is in 20 years from now, and that's happening, then I didn't make this episode. You know, that's like some fucking soul shackle shit right there. Like, we got to be our own authority, because when we are, we start shattering the illusion, and the illusion is thick and it's convincing, but I don't think it's necessarily the most real. It's the surface. And as Terence McKenna says, the surface is not where our attention should rest. So anyways, Jupiter's like, hey, please be your own authority. Please lead yourself. To lead is to go first. If you have a family, lead your family. Be your own authority. If you have friends, lead your friends. Not by saying, hey, I'm the leader. Look at me. Follow me. No, but by being like, yo, I'm going to decondition my shit. I'm going to hand decision making back over to my body. And I'm going to engage the mystery, which is the counterbalance to where this new moon is. The counterbalance to where this new moon is where the Earth is sitting in the Capricorn gate of inner truth, the gate of mystery, which is all about trusting the knowing, the inner knowing, staying connected to the mystery, because when we stay connected to the mystery, we stay inspired. When I am over consuming information, when I am working all the time, which I am working all the time because it seems like life is getting very, very, very expensive and it's very hard to keep up. I make good money and I work really fucking hard, but it's hard to keep up. And so I'm taking in more information and I'm wondering if AI can do some stuff, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And then I'm like, holy shit, I'm doing all this stuff. What am I even doing? I'm disconnected from the inspiration. Take it all away. Simplify. Come back. Come back. Come back. Do the repetitions, right? Does this sound familiar? It's getting expensive, which is why we need to be our own authority. Why we need to trust our inner truth. Because when we do, our values will change. And that's the last thing I want to talk about on this episode right now. Venus is conjunct the South Node. And you can see that. The South Node right here in the gate 59, the gate of sexuality, the gate of dispersion. Venus conjunct that South Node. When anything is conjunct the South Node, it's going, hey, it's time to take a moment to say, this is not how we do this anymore. When Venus is conjunct the South Node, it's time we take a look at the values that are outmoded, that are outdated, and we need to change them. Venus is the planet of values. You can see that right here. Venus governs the domain of values, representing what a person finds beautiful, worthy, and deserving of love. Well, guess what? The gate 59 shadow state, this Virgoan gate, is dishonesty. This conjunction is saying you guys have to stop being dishonest. You have to stop being dishonest with yourself. You have to stop being dishonest with yourself first, which is again why we return to, how do I do that? Well, I start being my own authority. Why is that important? Because when you say, I'm going to be my own authority, then you go, where am I going to decision make from? And then you go, oh yeah, my body. What's true for me? What sensation are happening? Do I actually feel magnetized in, pulled in? When Alyssa says, hey, come join me in the practicum, in the online community, do I feel magnetized in? Do I feel a sacral yes? Do I feel energy flowing? Do I feel aroused? Or do I feel a repulse? Or do I feel energy stop? This isn't everyone should join the community. This is when I invite you, what happens in your body. It's time to start being honest with yourself. Everything isn't for everyone, and there's no one right way. You have to, just like I do, find the way that's right for you. The first way we do that is we get honest with ourselves. We get honest with ourselves about what? Well, what's true? Well, how do I know it's true, Alyssa? Your body's telling you. I love smoking. I love it. I love smoking weed. I love smoking tobacco. I don't really smoke cigarettes ever, but I love a good hand-rolled tobacco. Deliciousness. I got a dental implant almost 2 years ago, and if I smoke too often, the implant starts throbbing. That's my body going, hey, too much. That's body feedback. When I haven't slept well in multiple nights and I start craving sugar all the time and starting to feel a little bit like I'm in psychosis and like I can't keep it down and everything's too much and I'm feeling anxiety, that's my body going, hey girl, get some sleep, eat some protein, put your feet on the ground. Our bodies are feedbacking us all the time. When we override that feedback all the time, we don't know how to make decisions from our body because we're not listening to our body. The body technology is communicating with us all the time. When we override it, we end up depressed, we end up anxious, and we end up going, there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. Your body's trying to get your attention. This is the first step of being honest with ourselves. Virgo is the body, Earth, body, Beyonce, body. Be honest with yourself. How? Tune into your body. And what this is going to do is it's going to support you in these last moments where the nodes are transiting Pisces, faith over fixing, and Virgo. We've been pulled into that faith, and we've been pulled into a little taste of what's coming in 2027 for the next 400 years, which is we'll be under the influence of the 55-59. When the time hits, I'll do a whole episode on it. But let me just tell you this. The 55 is about taking our awareness and putting it deeper than the surface. The 55 is about moving from the state of victim into freedom. Victim state is the identification with emotion. Victim state is the identification with our thoughts. Victim state says, I've forgotten that I have choice here. I've forgotten that I can choose. I've forgotten that I can even choose my attitude. This is essential. This is essential that we know that we can even choose our attitude towards something, because it takes a lot of resilience and capacity and courage to say, yo, I am being provoked. I feel afraid. I feel overwhelmed. I feel grief. I feel fear. I feel apathy. I feel shame. I feel guilt. These things are all part of the human experience. It takes choice to say, hey, I'm going to let myself feel these things because they're informing me, but I'm not going to identify with them. I'm not going to identify with the shame I feel and create a narrative around it. I'm not going to narrate the sensation of shame into I am bad, which I know all about doing. That's victim abuser consciousness when we identify with the feeling and then we get stuck there. That's hell. This is the map of consciousness by Dr. Hawkins. And lots of us right now are sitting fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame. These are also tools, by the way, that are being employed all the time to create more division. Division based on the surface of things. And I say that a little bit tongue in cheek because of the surface of who I am. But it's true. I feel it as truth in my body and in my knowing. If we keep getting stuck on the surface and we keep allowing ourselves to come under the influence of fear programming, control programming, guilt, shame programming, we're not empowered. We hit self-empowerment after we say, I'm going to meet all of these states with the choice to have the courage to feel. Courage is the bridge. It's the bridge into self-empowerment. And we have to be courageous right now because Pluto is at work, as we've been talking about. Pluto's opposing Jupiter. Pluto's no joke. Pluto's like, listen, I'm going to burn some shit down. I'm going to destroy some shit. And we don't have to fear this. It's uncomfortable. But winter is technically a destruction. The crash of a wave is destruction. It's destruction of a waveform. Things are being destroyed all the time. And life can't help but create. That's Eros. The impulse of life, the will of life is alive in me and in you. We can't help it. That's what we're animated by. Which is why those pictures on the bathroom wall disturb me so much, because you know what I couldn't feel? I couldn't feel aliveness. I couldn't feel any emotion. I couldn't feel anything. It was like these people had to pull back so hardcore into themselves. They had to pull so far into themselves. Were they dancing? Were they chomping on some fun guy and looking at the sky and gazing into each other's eyes? Did they even trust each other anymore? We act different when there's a camera on us. And we also act different when we know there's cameras on us. And now there's cameras on us everywhere. And so we got to act different, but not in the way that is shame, guilt, fear, control programming that says you can't trust anyone around you and you can't trust yourself. This is why we have to build the health of our own inner authority. We have to. And we have to encourage people around us to do it too. And we encourage that by respecting other people's decisions. Okay, we're different. We're not the same. We don't need to be the same. If all your cells in your body were liver cells, you'd be fucked. Diversity keeps us healthy. And in this Cancer new moon on July 14th, what I want you to just look for and watch for are, what are the ways that the oppressor lives inside of me? We can't escape the prisons we don't know we're in. So we have to start going, okay, there have been spells cast. There's language used that I've internalized and you've internalized that we are responsible right now for recognizing. New moon conjunct Mercury retrograde in Cancer is like, stop with the mind decision making. Stop with the narratives. Go into your animal body. Trust your intuition. Now that's a practice, right? Intuition supports inner authority. Instinct, impulse, sublimated impulse, intuition. These things all support our sense of inner authority. They are in the body graph. This is why we use the body graph to say, oh, we're returning decision making to the body. That's how we reclaim our own sense of inner authority. And the cosmos are asking us to do that. For this next year, as Jupiter transits through Leo, that's how I want you to think about this assignment. This assignment is about I'm my own authority. That's not just a cute phrase. That's fucking hard. It takes work, it takes practice, and you have to practice it with the people around you. You don't just do it internally. This opposition says turn it outward, make the internal function social. It's time. Practice your own authority with others. And authority, my inner authority is not here to power over your inner authority. We're done with the era of power over. It is power within or bust. And when you're being powered over, you're going to know it because your inner authority is going to go, fuck you. I won't do what you told me. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your trust. Please come join me in the community. Cheers to the dance.